What do you think are kind of the biggest issues that it can help solve, especially with the work that you're doing with aging populations?
Yeah, well, that's a great, thanks for narrowing it down because I think that, I'm certainly not an AI for everyone and everything
Yeah.
expert, but I can tell you that first and foremost, AI allows you to personalize everything to anyone with natural language instruction. So first and foremost, you don't have to learn how to code to use generative AI. If we kind of focus on that kind of domain of artificial intelligence, proxy for ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or whatnot. So first and foremost, like now with English language or whatever language I speak, I can naturally program, and use this technology to take, let's say, one bulletin that was in English and turn it into 400 languages in 3.5 minutes. I think just that level of personalization, right? And attempting to kind of really meet people where they are is like a remarkable superpower that would have historically not been, right? No budget line item exists to translate every document and every artifact from the Area Agency on Aging to 400 plus languages. I think the second thing is it's also on the inbound, right? So reaching and getting help is really hard. If you know anyone that's English as a second language, you know that they face all sorts of challenges, not because they can't be incredibly communicators, but because culturally, all the colloquialisms, right? All the sarcasm, all the kind of familiar expressions to maybe native speakers simply don't translate, right?
Yeah.
And so allowing someone to kind of meet these organizations in a conversational, textable, or talk interface that allows them to speak in a native natural tongue and receive information in a native natural tongue is a massive enabler. I think giving people the ability to scan globally and deeply in minutes to maybe a couple of hours around best practices and solutions, to be able to distill that and apply that to livable moments and kind of resource constrained efforts is, again, an incredible opportunity to say, well, wait a minute, what we were doing in Allegheny County may not be working, but what are people in Tokyo, Japan doing, or Northern Africa, or somewhere in Brazil, right? And how do we translate that to us? And then there's all of the kind of really mechanical things, like helping somebody process 90 pages of legislation when they find out they have a meeting with someone the next day. Help them draft a proposal, in a brainstorm early version to then morph and personalize and kind of create an authentic communication with that would have otherwise taken 2-3 hours just to mechanically assemble, right? The ability, right, to make and give people that were historically not overwhelmingly analytical or data driven the ability to have high horsepower and work inside of Excel in a much more advanced way, to take responsibility for budgeting and forecasting, even though maybe your traditional training is as a social worker, which certainly doesn't leave you short of critical thinking. But the reality of it is it probably means you didn't take a lot of accounting classes.